My husband came to terms with his death and I just can't deal with it. I am not the oop. Oop is you, off my chest. Temp 2255. My husband came to terms with his death and I just can't deal with it. Originally posted to r, true, off my chest. Trigger warning. Mentions of euthanasia, cancer, death of spouse, verbal abuse, less than, mood spoiler, gut-wrenching but bittersweet, less than. Original post August 18, 2022. I, F42, have been married to my husband, M38, for over 10 years. We met when I was 24 in a club. Ever since I knew him, he could never accept any health damages. He fell from a ladder from 2 meters or so. Went into hospital just because I insisted. When he was 25 he started to complain about his knee hurting really badly when he bends it. Took me 5 years to send him to the doctor over this. He ended up having surgery, after which he was supposed to rest for 2 months. After 2 weeks he was back at working out and jogging. 2 years ago he was diagnosed with leukemia. He straightway stopped smoking after the diagnosis and worked out even more than before. So he boosts his health. It didn't help at all, and last month his health went downhill. He got all pale. He got weak to the point I had to help him upstairs on a few occasions. 2 days ago while dining, our daughter, 15F, asked him if he could take her hiking to the Alps next year. He just said something in the lines of, "I'm not sure if I'll still be around by that time." I still held my cool. After that our daughters left to go to sleep and I blew up on him. I just started screaming. I can't even remember what exactly it was anymore. Something like, "From the moment I met you, you never gave in to any health condition. You always overcame everything. And now from out of nowhere you accept your own death?" Quote. Normally he would raise his voice at me saying, "We are not animals in this house, so we will not scream at each other." But not then. He just glared into the corner of the kitchen and said nothing. And when his eyes started watering, my heart shattered into thousands of pieces. In that moment I knew I have only a short time left with the love of my life. And I will forever regret blowing up at him. Edit. I apologized for everything. He told me I didn't even had to. That it's only natural and that stages of grief are a real thing. To all the people saying he deserved it because he was smoking, I hope you never have to go through something like this. At first I didn't even want to edit anything here, but seeing how many people showed their sympathy, I needed to say thank you to all of you. We had a long talk today and I decided to arrange bucket list days for him, so he enjoys the last few months he has. Relevant comments. Alanimal. Ask your husband to write letters to your children so they have something to keep from him and reread. Make sure he tells them how much he loves them. My husband died at 49. He had cancer. I wish he had done that for our daughter. He has been gone almost 20 years and she never got over it because the last time she told him good night he did not tell her he loved her. Parents, for Pete's sakes, always tell your children that you love them. Oop replied, "This is actually so nice. I will totally tell him to do this. Even though it seems like our daughters are much stronger than I ever could have been." Update 14 months later, October 26, 2023. Hello Reddit. I haven't really had the intention to post on here again, but my therapist thought it might be therapeutic to do so since it helped the last time. My kids are at my late husband's parents', so I've had some wine to give me the will to actually write this down. As you might have guessed from my previous text, it happened. My husband died about half a year ago and I miss him so damn much. I've wanted to thank all of you who suggested grief counseling. Me, my late husband and our 2 daughters attended about 2 months after my original post, and without it we would most likely be more destroyed than we already are. I also wanted to thank the person who suggested for my husband to film videos for our daughters. Life goals. We together made some videos for their graduation, marriage, first child and other major life goals. It actually took us much longer than it could have because it was just too hard for us. The realization of the fact our life together was over was just so hard. If the text doesn't make sense, I'm very sorry. I'm crying with every word I write and I take breaks. So the text might be unreadable. I will try to correct any mistakes. Now to the happy part. Before the love of my life got really bad, we tried to do as many things from his bucket list as possible. I've never thought I could enjoy so many things I wouldn't care for otherwise. Like MMA. It was his passion for such a long time, but he never actually saw any fight in person. We finally went to the castle in the center of our city for the first time after living here for 6 years. Never had the time. Now we had all the time in the world for ourselves and our kids. We traveled a lot. We went to see the Stonehenge, such a curious sight. After that we went to see the fjords, which fascinated him so much. We went to see the northern lights too. It was just so beautiful. We couldn't stay long anywhere so we could get back for my husband's therapy, and girls had to go to school. We also got to see the Colosseum and some more great sights. I hated myself for quite some time after the events of my last post. When he was still alive, he mentioned it only once. Told me not to worry about it. That it was just the silent thoughts said out loud. That he doesn't want me to ever worry about it again or he'll haunt me. Some of you might think that it was not nice, but we used to have a specific humor, and we have one rule in our house. As long as it's funny, it's allowed. Also, if the person who is the butt of the joke finds it funny, it's okay. He got really bad about a month before passing. I mean, when we were traveling he was in a wheelchair. But that was only for the long walks. But the last month he already couldn't move without it. I hated to see him in that state. It hurt both me and our daughters. It was just so painful. And I also saw his pain in his eyes. He was so angry that he couldn't go by his own way. Euthanasia is not legal where we live. He always was pro. I didn't used to be. But now when I saw in how much pain he was, I would do anything just for him to feel better. He deserved to choose his own way out. What he didn't deserve was spend his last days in pain or under drugs. His last moments, our whole family was with him. With my parents and in-laws too. In one of his last moments conscious, he told us all how much he loves us. I tried to be so strong for our girls. And I was. I stayed together until after his funeral. After seeing him lifeless, I broke down knowing that it's all over. But at least he didn't feel any more pain. I will never forget you, Patrick. I will forever love you. You were my light in this dark world. You were the fire that kept me from freezing. Now I will try to be as good of a support you were to me, to our daughters who love you so much. Miss you. Relevant comments. Mrs. 239. I am so sorry for your loss. I, too, am a young widow. Cancer struck at 31. And he was gone in 10 months. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but I'd loved him since 9th grade. I didn't know how I was going to live without him. It literally takes one day at a time. Sometimes. It took going hour by hour. Let me see if I can go this next hour without crying. Then, I made it to a day without crying. Then a week. It's been over 11 years and some days are still hard. It took a long time to date again. But I am finally in a wonderful and stable relationship. It took me 10 years to find him. You are a strong woman and a great mother to your kids. The love stays with you. Take your time to grieve. And I hope that the life you live from here on out is a beautiful one. Oop replied. I know I still got a long way ahead of me. I had such a long time to prepare for this, and yet I feel like I still have no idea where to go from here. The hardest thing for me was when my late husband wanted to talk about the post-me future. I know that it was necessary, and thanks to it I have at least some sense of direction, but I feel like the world will never be the same again. I'm super happy that you healed, and I hope to once be like you. This is a repost sub IAM, not the oop. Oh boy, I am bawling. I'm so glad they made milestone videos for their daughters. No one should have to go through this, and honestly we should all be able to choose our own way out. I can't fathom why we can choose to put our pets down when they're sick and cancer-stricken. But humans don't get that relief. I am proper ugly crying. Lost my dad suddenly due to a heart attack last year. And honestly, I haven't recovered from it. Fuck. I miss him a lot. And the worst part is that it was so sudden. I never got to even say goodbye. He has missed so many firsts already. In just a year. Ahaha JJSSJ. Now I am crying even more. I'll go look at our old photos and cry some more. Bye. The last words I ever heard from my mom were, "I love you, my darling boy." I'm no darling. But my mom loved me and she never let me forget it. Parents, for Pete's sakes, always tell your children that you love them. Always. Fuck, I should have skipped this thread. My friend is dying. Diagnosed with cancer in May. He won't make Christmas. 2 daughters the same age as my girls. Fuck. This was hard to read. Cancer is such a horrible disease. But I'm glad they were able to explore all those places with his family before his passing. Rip Patrick. Reading this hoping I never have to experience either side of this tragic story, but knowing the reality of cancer, it's highly likely I will. We all will. Treasure every moment like it's our last. Build memories and spend quality time with the ones we love. Currently crying on the train right now. That breaks my heart. Oop. I hope you and your daughters have a beautiful life. Hold comfort in getting to say everything you both wanted and needed, and your husband knew he was so loved. Literally, not figuratively. My worst fear is that my kids won't remember me. My brother died in 2001 when I was 14 and he was 11. There are days I just break down because I can't remember his voice or some characteristic that I feel like I should have permanently ingrained in my mind, and it makes me feel almost like I am betraying him by not remembering. And I had 11 years with him. My kids are only 4 and 1. If I go any time soon, there is virtually no chance they remember anything about me organically. Damn it. Why did I read it at work? I wish everyone had access to medically assisted death. My dad was spared a nightmarish fate because we have MAID in Canada. To see him suffer more than he had to would have shattered our family and friends. When the nurse gave him the first injection, the look of gratitude in his eyes still haunts me. He never really told us how much he was suffering. But that look said it all. It was like watching a person dying of thirst being given water. I'm so sorry OP's husband and so many others don't have that. I have to go hug my partner now. Close. We have been in a rough patch, but this post helped me realize how dear to me he really is and how much I don't want to lose him and our future family. Heartbreak. Went from the panty-stealing roommate post to this one. My emotions are doing a roller coaster, my God. To me, anticipatory grief is the scariest thing in the world. Wish this woman and her daughters all the happiness. This is just. I wish Oop and her daughters nothing but the best. Fuck cancer. I watched a documentary years ago about a state that has doctor-prescribed euthanasia, and when you see it carried out in an ethical way, it's hard to argue with it. There was a part where they were polling people. Or maybe it was being voted on. I don't remember exactly, but there was a lot of, "No. It's just wrong. Why? It's just wrong." Quote, there might be some rare people who have an extreme religious conflict with euthanasia. But outside of those folks, it really strikes me as the kind of thing people are against in principle only. It's easy to say we shouldn't let people kill themselves. But I would be willing to wager that when faced with dying a slow, painful death or watching someone you love die a slow, painful death, most people would reach the point of advocating for a peaceful death. Who else is crying in public transit now? Paper. This brought tears to my eyes. May we all find and cherish a love such as they shared together. My deepest sympathy goes out to Oop and their children. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. There's some freshly peeled onions somewhere close. I swear. Man, this was tough. I'm so sorry for Oop. Yet, so proud of everyone involved. There will be good days. And then one day a memory will play in your mind. Or a thought about them. Or a milestone that you just wish they were there to witness personally, and the floodgates will open. It's been almost 4 years. I miss you, sis.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.